The golden rule of business, of sales, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, looking for ways to make your win all about the other person's win.
Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. My name is Amy Sylvis. I am your host. Wow, I have a treat for you today. I am so excited to welcome Bob Burg to join us today. I'm going to read his bio real quick because I'm a little starstruck. I'm afraid I'm going to mess this up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be transparent and honest about this today. All right. So who is Bob Burg? For more than 30 years, Bob Burg has been successfully showing entrepreneurs, leaders, and sales professionals how to build relationships, communicate their value, and accelerate their business growth. Although for years, he was best known for his sales classic, Endless Referrals, it's his business parable, The Go-Giver, co-authored with John David Mann, that has created a worldwide movement. That is no exaggeration. We'll talk more about that. While part of the 4-book series, The Go-Giver itself has sold well over 1 million copies and has been translated into 30 languages. It was rated number 10 on Inc. magazine's list of the most motivational books ever well-written and was HubSpot's 20 most highly rated sales books of all time. Bob is the founder of the Go-Giver Success Alliance, an online mentorship community for successful entrepreneurs, leaders, and sales professionals, and he publishes the very popular Daily Impact email. Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system, believing the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they serve. He is also an unapologetic animal fanatic, yes, and serves as part of the South Florida Rescue, Foster, and Adoption Organization. Bob, what an absolute honor to have you on the podcast today. Thank you.
Amy Sylvis, the honor is mine. You are, and I've said this before, I will say it again, and I know I'll say it a lot of times, you are the walking embodiment of a go-giver. You're just so awesome.
I appreciate that very much. Gosh, if anyone hasn't read your book, I'm just going to stop here and make sure everyone pauses and orders it. I give this book away to my students. This is how much I appreciate what your book teaches and how much it's transformed my life. And so I'm excited to talk a little bit about the book, but also loop this in to how what we talk here about living with abundance and what that means to you. So can we start out there? How do you define abundance, Mr. Bob Burg?
I would say it's, I kind of look at it from an ancient saying from the Talmudic sages, okay? And they asked the question, who is rich? And the answer was that person who rejoices in their lot. Now, let's go a little deep into this because I think it can be kind of misinterpreted as, oh, just if you don't want a lot and you're happy, that's good. And that's not what it's saying.
Right.
Okay. It's saying that we're grateful for everything we have. And at the same time, we live in gratitude and know that the universe is very, very abundant.
Yes.
Right. And that whatever we choose in our pursuit of happiness, in our pursuit of making the world a better place, in what we pursue in accordance to our values, that's the degree that we can continue to grow. Right. And we continue to learn, we can continue to enjoy, and we take pleasure, not pride, but pleasure, right, in what we have. Mm-hmm. So I think abundance is a general feeling of gratitude.
Wow.
Right. And it's interesting because, abundance covers a lot of areas, right? There's financial, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, social, relational, and all these areas where we can be abundant. And, I always loved, in the 1910 classic, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, one of my favorites. He talked about as human beings, we're sort of programmed, if you will, to grow and expand. That's how life grows. That's how, right. And so in doing that, we all, and this is just human nature, right? Human nature, the general psychological characteristics, feelings, and behavioral traits of humankind, as they apply to all humans, right? We have a desire for growth. We want more time. We want more money. We want more in terms of better relationships. We want more beauty. We want more, right? And that's fine. That's great. And the neat thing is it's all out there, but none of it counts if we're not living in gratitude, which he also talks about. He talks about that as one of the 3 ways to live in what he calls the certain way in order to live in that abundance.
That's beautiful.
Sorry, I can't just answer things like in a soundbite.
No, we're here to really explore it and pull this thread, because you're the first person. No, you're not the first, but you're one of few that has mentioned this gratitude, because our American culture, I think, and you can add to this if you'd like, teaches us that this abundance must be about ourselves and we must always want more. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but shifting our mindset for gratitude for what we have. I woke up and I had a roof over my head this morning, and there was food I put in my belly. And I've got a friend named Bob Burg who generously volunteered his time to speak on my podcast. My eyes are working. I can see you in front of me. I mean, that's incredible. But that doesn't also necessarily mean that we can't want more. We can't be grateful for what might come or what should come.
That's the thing. Yes. And as Waddles talks about, the more grateful you are, the more in tune, the closer you actually are with the source of all things, right? And so that's why those who are grateful tend to actually attain more, okay? So it's not like you have and then you're grateful. If you're not grateful, you're probably not going to have. Now, that doesn't mean that can't happen. Of course, it's a big world. People do things different ways.
Yeah.
But typically, if you're not living in gratitude, it doesn't matter how much you have. You cannot be happy. And when you think about it, and this is baked into our, I guess, culture in terms of our founders, we say, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
Okay. And so when you think about it, everything we do, everything anyone does, it's because they believe that they're going to be closer to attaining happiness as a result of doing so. Okay. There's nothing that someone doesn't do because they think it's going to make them happier. If you stroke a $1,000 check to your local animal shelter, okay, it's not that you want to give away $1,000 of your hard-earned money, but you feel better about yourself by doing so than by not doing so because it's congruent with your value system. Okay, so we don't do anything other than we believe. In fact, Abraham Hicks, if you read any of their, they talk about the same thing. There's nothing that a human doesn't do because they believe it's going to move them closer to happiness. I mean, that's human nature. And that's good because when it's channeled in the right, that's why I love free market capitalism, right? Because it means the only way you can earn a lot of money is by serving a lot of people, because in a free market, no one, and it's not that we live in a total free market, we don't, but to the degree we do, right? No one is forced to buy from you. So what does that mean? You must find a way to bring immense value to them in order for them to want to exchange their money for this value you're providing. That's wonderful. It means everyone prospers.
Yes.
One of my heroes, Harry Brown, used to say, in a free market-based exchange, right, again, no one's forced to do it. They do so in their own volition. There should always be two profits, the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were before. That's abundance. That's abundance. Value plus value creates more value, not less.
Yes. Yes. I love that, because I do think another aspect of American culture, and as an entrepreneur that I've encountered, is there does seem to be this notion that in order for the business owner to win, that maybe the consumer is losing or vice versa. But this notion of, oh no, both winning not only is possible, but they're inextricably linked.
Absolutely. They absolutely are.
Yes.
The only time they're not, and this has nothing to do with capitalism, this is when cronyism takes place. This is when, when you hear about, K Street in Washington, right? The lobbyists, and they're lobbying for their, whether it's a big conglomerate or it's some special interest or whatever, and they get together with the politicians and they create special rules and regulations that do things that make it so people can't compete. Well, then you have to buy from those that they make the laws. That's not free market. Right. And that's a win-lose.
Right.
But when the market's allowed to be free, with government, of course, protecting against force and fraud, that is also baked in. That's Article 4, Section 4, and absolutely of the Constitution. But other than that, when government kind of just allows people to buy, sell, and trade and conduct themselves freely, each in their own pursuit of happiness, wow, it's amazing how abundance occurs. Because, in order for the business person to win, the consumer has to win.
Right.
Right? Because nobody's going to, I used to say this when I spoke at sales meetings, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet.
Right.
Right? They're not going to buy from you because you want the money or because you want to make the sale. No, they're going to buy from you because they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. Now, should you not fulfill that promise and that person's not happy, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to post all over the internet. They're going to complain. They're going to make life. You can't sustain profit doing that. You can't. But to have a profitable, sustainably profitable, healthy company, you've got to provide value over and above what you're charging, right? Or else people won't buy, while at the same time making it so it's profitable that it allows the company to continue.
Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. We'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show.
What it brings me to this incredible series of books that you and John David Mann wrote called The Go-Giver. And I just think about the value that I've received and everyone who's ever read the book that has given me feedback has received. And what a great example of adding value far and above the very inexpensive price that you charge for it. Can you give, for anyone who hasn't, God forbid, read the book, can you give us a little bit of an overview, some takeaways? Because I think it's an incredible segue to how being a go-giver can relate to abundance.
Sure. And, John David Mann was as you mentioned, was my co-author. And he was the lead writer, storyteller. But I'm a how-to, you know me, Amy, I'm a how-to guy. I'm step 1, step 2, step 3. I'm actually rather boring, but we try not to talk about that too much. John is the storyteller, John is the guy. So really so much credit goes to him. So The Go-Giver is a business parable. And it's about a guy named Joe, a young up-and-coming sales guy. He's ambitious. He's aggressive. He's a good kid. Yeah. But he's got his kind of focus in the wrong place. It's all about Joe, right?
Yes.
It's about Joe's quota, right? It's about who owes Joe what, right? And Joe, meets a mentor named Pindar and a few people. And here's what he comes to realize. And this is the basic premise of the entire book, the entire series, that shifting your focus, and this is where it all begins, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving, we in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others. Yes. Right? It's understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, which it is, it's also the most financially profitable way as well. And not for any kind of woo-woo, way out there, magical, mystical reasons. Oh, just give and be nice and good. No, that's not real world. No, it's understanding that when you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and place it on serving others, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, what problems of theirs you can help them solve, how you can, again, help move them closer to happiness, right? People feel good about you. They feel great about you. They want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be part of your life. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to do business with you. They want to be your personal walking ambassador.
Yeah, it is. It is such a mindset shift, and it can seem like a simple concept, but I love how you and John David Mann just illustrate the goodness, the abundance that can come from understanding, having that empathy of what other people's goals are and understanding how you can match that. And not only are you rewarding and helping the person that you're serving, the customer, whatever context you want to put that in, but yes, it feels incredible for yourself as well. Yeah. That just multiplies. Imagine if we had a world and a culture that lived like that. I mean, it would just be, and I believe, maybe this is hyperbolic, but it's a movement, Bob Burg. This is a movement. It really is, though, because, you've seen, I teach folks how to raise capital on LinkedIn, and people have a goal. It's a sales role, a goal, a quota.
Sure.
And your book helps me help them understand that the more they're focused on their own goals, the more they're going to get further away from them. It's only by diving deep into the people that they're looking to serve, not sell to, but serve, and understanding how what they offer might fulfill a need, help fix a problem, that we can get there. So in the book, you talk about the five laws. Can you summarize those for us, if you're able to? They're so important.
Oh, thank you. Well, the 5 laws themselves are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The law of value is all about the experience you provide that person. How do you make that person feel at every touch point, Amy? From the moment you meet them, whether it's inbound, outbound, in person, over the phone, whatever it happens to be, to the relationship building process, the follow-up, the follow-through, the sales process, the referral process, at every single touch point, how do they feel about themselves? Because to the degree you help another person feel good about themselves, so your product, service, very, very important, okay? But a lot of people are, do what you do, not you necessarily, but with any of us, people do it, right? And so we can become a commodity. So how do you distinguish yourself from others? And you've got to be able to distinguish yourself from others by being that additional value. How? Well, this comes down to 5 what we call elements of value, and those are excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. And to the degree that you are able to communicate one or more at every single one of those touch points, right? That's the degree you distinguish yourself in the marketplace, and now you're in a position to be able to bring on new customers and clients. So that's law, the law of value is all about them feeling as though they're receiving much more in value, right? Total value than what they're paying. While of course you make a very healthy profit. Law number 2 is the law of compensation. This says your income is determined by how many people you serve.
Right.
And how well you serve them, right? So it's not just about the value you provide. That's foundational. That's very important. But providing value to just one person probably isn't going to bring you in a whole lot of income, right? It's like, Nicole Martin, the CEO in the story, one of the mentors told Joe, the protege, the law of value represents your potential income. The law of compensation represents your actual income because it's about how many lives you impact. And by the way, Ms. Amy, as an aside, you are impacting a lot of lives with a whole ton of value.
God willing. Thank you.
Law number 3, the law of influence, says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. This sounds Pollyanna-ish when you first hear it, but not at all. For what it's real. And by the way, when we say place other people's interests first, we're not talking about being a doormat or a martyr or self-sacrificial. No, it's, as Joe learned from several of the mentors, the golden rule of business, of sales, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, looking for ways, as Sam, one of the mentors, advised Joe, to make your win all about the other person's win. Law number 4, the law of authenticity, says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. In this part of the story, the realtor, Deborah, shared that all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, people skills, as important as they are, and they are indeed all very, very important, they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do, when you show up as yourself, day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel good about you. They feel great about it. They feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you. And why wouldn't they? They know who they're getting. And this is something, as human beings, it's part of our human nature. We want to try to make sense. We want to understand our world. And this in a world that's often very difficult to understand, right? We want consistency in a world that's often very inconsistent. So when you combine, excellence and consistency both, well, now, you've really created that benevolent context for trust, right? And then the last one is the law of receptivity. And this one says the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. This means nothing more than understanding that, you breathe out, you also have to breathe in. Not one or the other, it's both. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe in oxygen. You breathe out, which is giving. You breathe in, which is receiving. Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts. They're simply two sides of the very same coin, and they work in tandem. Now, this despite the fact that the world around us gives us so many horrible anti-prosperity messages of lack. You know what? You can't buy into it, even though people do, and buy into it unconsciously because it's everywhere. That's why it's so important to study and read, books by people like Randy Gage and David Nagel and Sharon Lechter and Ellen Rogan and Ken Honda and the late Bob Proctor, and watch their videos and read their blogs, because they speak on prosperity mindset. Because all those anti-prosperity garbage messages come in all the time. So we have to proactively be retraining our brains, right? And keep putting that good information in there. So, so many people who speak on it in such a wonderful way. So, giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. The thing is, the focus needs to be on the giving, right? And allow the receiving. And here's why. Again, we talk about nature, human nature, physical nature. We plant before we harvest. We sow before we reap, right? We give before we receive. Remember at the beginning of the story, Pindar says to Joe, some people have the attitude they walk up to a fireplace and say, hey, first give me some heat and some fire, then I'll throw on some logs and some newspaper and that, right? Imagine going into a bank and saying, hey, I'm thinking of opening up an account, but first I need you to give me an interest payment. Life doesn't work that way, right? Life doesn't work that way. So we give, we focus on the giving, and we allow the receiving. That's abundance.
That paradigm shift is, if folks take one thing away, they're going to take more than just one thing away. But if folks just take one thing away, it is trusting the laws of the universe, not to get too California hippy dippy on folks, but the truth really is that, yes, if you test this law out, if you see that just by giving, more abundance will come into your life, it is not the opposite. It really, really is just enjoying, just the act of giving and being a go-giver is that abundance that folks are looking for, because of how it makes us feel, how we make others feel. So many other things just come from that. Nothing is a guarantee, but you just trust the process. And this book and these laws are such powerful reminders. I struggle myself with receiving. I'm so focused on other people. I'm like, don't worry about me. But these things are related. As you said, you don't just breathe out, you breathe in, and you can't breathe in unless you're breathing out, right? So what a powerful analogy. That's a breakthrough for me of why being open to receiving is so important. I love that. I love that. So for folks, Bob, that are really looking, many people that are listening to this podcast are very high achieving, high net worth individuals that thought that climbing the corporate ladder and earning buckets of money was going to make them happy and bring this abundance that they desire into their life, and have realized, oh, but my hobbies, but giving to my community, but my friends and family, there are more things that they need to fill that abundance bucket with. What advice would you give them as to where to start? Because you've built this incredible life for yourself. You've given back. You've created abundance. What wisdom would you share with folks looking to go on that journey?
I think it's understanding this, happiness, okay? And I have my own definition for happiness. Now, the dictionary definition, which is a good one, I believe, is the mental feeling of well-being. Good definition. That's pretty much you're happy if you have a mental feeling of well-being. Mine goes a tiny, tiny bit deeper, okay? And it's this. To me, happiness is an ongoing and genuine feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. Okay? So it's very difficult to be, now, and by the way, that doesn't mean where it's always la, yay, all right, no, of course not. But I'm saying it's the genuine ongoing feeling, right? It's so to anyone who doesn't feel happy like that, in terms of my definition, is ask if you're living congruently with your values. And the chances are, if you're not really happy, there's something missing there. So the first thing is to really determine what your values are. And your values aren't what society says they should be. Or, your parents, as much as they love you, it's not what they say it should be. It's what you believe they are. It's what you feel they are. So once we understand and have our values in front of us and we know what they truly are, now everything we do, we can run that against, is this congruent with my highest values? And I think we begin there.
What a great exercise for all of us to do. And sometimes those values may change over time.
Oh, sure.
Like me, they're probably not the same as when I was 22 and getting out of college, right? So
absolutely.
Even re-examining. What great advice, Bob. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness. Well, thank you so much, Bob, from the bottom of my heart for joining us today on the podcast. Your book, John David Mann's book, that you both, your gifts to the world are really the gifts that keep on giving. And it's just been so special to get to know you better over time, develop this relationship with you, and of course, have you on this podcast. You're such a blessing.
Thank you. Appreciate you greatly.
Everyone, have a wonderfully abundant day, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.